Sooner or later, it says this hangout on there is live. I think it's been like 4 months. Maybe I should put my phone on vibrate. Not that anybody calls me, but
mine just vibrated, so I don't know why.
What's going on?
Not much. How's it going?
I'm alive. I survived a hurricane a couple months ago, and I'm out here.
Just one? Thought it was gonna be like the hurricane of the century or something.
Well, to the Florida Keys it was, and to Puerto Rico.
Well, I suppose, yeah. But Puerto Rico got hit just over and over again.
Yeah, it's Trump's fault. But
hey, Obama was in it for the last 8 years. Come on, man. He inherited these hurricanes. No, I'm just kidding.
But you know what? Like, do y'all have tornadoes in Minnesota?
Yeah, occasionally we have like tornadoes. They happen. Like a town called Wadena a couple of years ago got demolished. Probably about, I don't know, an hour west of where I am. So, but it's kind of rare.
Okay.
So it's actually, I was thinking about that because like Amazon, is going to have their new headquarters somewhere. And I'm like, well, why would they go into all these places that are so prone to total decimation based on a lot of stuff? Minnesota smack dab, or even North Dakota smack dab in the US, like tornadoes. Yeah. But you can build strong enough buildings to withstand tornadoes, but there's no hurricanes. There's not going to be really a lot of big floods, earthquakes, like massive volcanoes, maybe, I guess. But like,
I don't know. Earthquakes don't really hit often in the same area, do they? It's
I have no idea.
When they hit. But like I saw some really disturbing videos in Mexico City where like buildings just collapsed. Why is my dog such a hater? Hold up for a second. I gotta let my dog out. Let me turn off my profile. Why are you hating on me, Cookie? Huh? Come here. Every time you're quiet every single time until I talk to somebody. All right, so I'm gonna turn my video back on. You still hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah,
your dog's just kind of like, why are you talking to yourself? There's no one here.
Yeah, well, yeah. Even when I'm on the phone, I forget that she has no clue what a phone is. So she just thinks that like there's something that happens to be in my hand and I'm thinking out loud. So I don't know. She's a hater though. Even when I have company over, she like hates on me. So
what kind of dog is she?
She's a miniature bull terrier.
Oh, cool.
You see the movie Friday After Next?
I think I have, yeah.
With the dog Chico.
Oh yeah.
With the Mexicans. Yeah, I got that type of dog. So she's cool. But anyway, yeah, so I'm killing this whole natural disaster thingy, but the last point is I didn't realize how awesome a hurricane was until I was in the middle of it. And like just one or two words is constant and relentless. It's kind of like a blow dryer, like except it's really, 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 really strong. And it doesn't, I mean, like a blow dryer, it doesn't take a breath. It just keeps going. And that's what this hurricane was. It never took a breath. It was just constant force, no gusts. It was just constant, and it just made me respect like Mother Nature. So
yeah, I don't know. I guess in the Midwest here we get like, I haven't been hit by a tornado, but like I'm sure it's kind of rare to get hit by a tornado. So I don't know. It's just kind of like I haven't really been in any natural disaster that's made me fear Earth yet.
Well, I don't know. I pretty much gave up on life again when I went to pick up my rental from the car agency or rental agency. And they're like, yeah, we don't have a car. And I'm like, oh, yes, you do. I have a confirmation. I booked this like 4 days ago. Oh, I'm sorry, sir. And I was like, that's it. It's not meant to be. I'm going to die in Miami. So, all right.
So you just hunker down then and just, this is it.
Well, I mean, it was either hunker down and be with my dog, or basically it was emergency evacuation, right? So they were basically saying that hey, if there's an emergency, or you get hurt, we're not going to come for you. I mean, they made that clear. They're basically saying if you choose not to heed our warnings, and you decide to stay in Miami, and I mean I stay on the beach, then we're not going to come and try to save you. We're not going to put our first responders on the line because you decided to ignore our warnings. And so I'm like, fair. But the alternative is I go to some like, I mean, I know it's not like a homeless shelter, but to me it is. I go to some like high school or college with people that don't have the means to secure a hotel or get out of Miami, and they have their kids and they probably have their own little mental health issues. And I'm like, damn that. I'd rather die in the comfort of my home. So I just made this decision to stay here and whatever,
But hey, you're here, so
yeah. Well,
next time just fly to Minnesota and you can visit.
where am I? Is this the Matrix? Anyway, I saw an email a couple of days ago. Maybe I was dreaming about it because I dream about some strange things. But I thought I saw an email that said NDC, Minnesota.
Yep. Oh yeah. Yeah, we're having an NDC here in May.
So I wasn't dreaming.
No,
Okay.
NDC Minnesota, man. Or I didn't get an email from it. So have they opened the CFPs for it?
I didn't even open it. Yeah, I didn't dig into it. It should be NDC Miami, man. It sounds cooler. It sounds like CSI Miami.
So but, yeah, for sure. But there is actually, like, if you search for NDC conference, like NDC Minnesota or something like that, there's some other like organization in Minnesota called NDC, and so like I don't know, they got to get their Google juice up, but yeah, it's there. I think the reason why it's here is, so have you been to the PubConfs or heard of PubConf?
I got my London Software Craftsmanship Conference shirt on, but no, I haven't been to a PubConf.
So when I went to I got the Kansas City Developers Conference shirt on. Okay. When I went to there and spoke at that, there's this PubConf that happened like at the last day of the conference. Like it's almost like a parody conference. I don't know what you call it, but it's just kind of comical and like stuff like that. But the guy who runs it is this guy who runs this company in Minnesota called Track.js. And he's been to NDC and has started in NDC and he's kind of expanded. But I think he's with
two of them. There's two co-founders
of Track.
I thought I met them at NDC.
Yeah, there's probably a couple, but he's like one of them.
Yeah, because I met him at NDC London 2 years ago. I'm almost positive it was two of them. They were from Minnesota.
Yeah, that's probably where PubConf got started because they talked about it. Anyways, so they're all in I think with the NDC people because of this stuff, and so that's like they weren't sure it was going to happen because I think Dave talked to them at KCDC or the guy, I can't remember his name off the top of my head.
You talking about Dave Rail?
Like, huh? You
talking about Dave Rail?
Yeah.
Okay.
Dave Rail. And it was just kind of like apparently that a couple weeks later, the guy, what's his name? Tweeted something about it and had an official schedule with Minnesota on the map. So. But it's the Norwegian Developer Conference, so Minnesota is probably like the place to go for in the United States, anyways, for Norwegian developers. But I
wonder if it's still going to be dominated by Europeans.
I don't know. Well, I don't know, like the company
and .NET centric.
So the company that I contract for, actually sorry. Not my company, but my client's company. Like they have a UK office, and those UK developers have been to NDC Oslo many times and NDC London. It's actually kind of like, I guess, a wash between going to the two because they're not that far away really. But they said that like this is pretty exciting because they've been to those, and now they could go to Minnesota where their actual corporation is and kind of hang it out there. So it's kind of neat. But I don't know. I think I might submit a talk, and I don't know if my track continues, I'll get accepted, even though I don't want to.
Yeah, I have a blog post to write for Fsharp's Advent calendar or something like that, and I think that's either on the 15th or 16th of next month. And so that's like, I hate when things hang in my head of like to-dos. You know, like
oh yeah, I know exactly.
I don't have peace of mind. I mean, I know I volunteered for it, but it's like it like pricks me in my head. Like, now, Scott, remember you have to write a blog post, and well, there's going to be some really smart people looking at it, so you're going to probably need to dedicate 2 business days to write it. I'm like, God damn, why do I do what I do? Why do you do what you do?
Yeah, because I submitted a talk to Code Mash, which is in Sandusky, Ohio, near your old stomping grounds.
Yeah, Cedar Point. Yeah.
Yeah, and that got accepted, and I was hoping it wouldn't get accepted. Like that. So when we talked a while ago, it was like, I'm not going to get accepted to Kansas City. We talked since then, but like, and then I got into that one, and now like I submitted to this one. It's like, oh, I'm not going to get, like, oh, I got into it. Damn it. And so now I got to, but yeah, it's that thing. It's like, it's poking, like you got pretty much 2 months now, about 2 months to get this talk ready, and you better get your ass going. And
well, yeah, at least mine is just a blog post.
Yeah.
That's probably going to have high visibility. Yours is way more serious, a lot more pressure.
It's basically a blog post. Like I'll be up. Pretty much what's going to happen is that, so I scheduled something at work where I'll give this talk like 3 weeks from now. And the night before, I'm going to be up until like 3 a.m. Not 7 a.m. I'll be like, never mind. I'll be up till like 3 a.m. and just be like trying to get it ready. And then I'll go to work and I'll give it, and I'll be all tired and I won't get anything done that day. And it's going to be terrible, but it's just what's going to happen. So,
well, you know you've made it when you make it to the NDC conference, or when you've been accepted to the NDC conference talks.
So, sounds like a challenge. Now that it's in Minnesota,
I'm not going to challenge
right.
I'm not going to challenge you to do it, but I mean that's like the all-stars, you know. I'm in a minor league. Well, no, I'm not even in the minor league because I've only done a web conference talk. I haven't done an actual. No one's invited me to do like tech ed or code camp. Neither, but I also haven't submitted either. But
yeah, I was gonna say, have you submitted to NDC? Because you might just get in if you did.
No one cares about what I care about. Like
I do. Explain to me what the hell a monad is, please.
Yo, you're asking the wrong person. I have no clue what a monad is. But I could tell you everything I learned about Fsharp and Elm and the comparisons of functional programming versus object-oriented programming and the advantages of both, and the projects that I've built, and the woe is me of getting emotional at times when I get stuck not knowing how to accomplish something functionally. Then I have a light bulb go off when I'm either in the shower or on my motorcycle, and then I go back and everything is beautiful again. So like, I mean, it's kind of an emotional roller coaster when I write code, because it's always like I'm stuck, y'all, and there's only like a select number of people that can really help me because it's very, very niche. And then like within between 4 to 8 hours, someone answers my prayers, and then I'm able to make progress again. So,
well, you are where I am here. You are here probably if this is a progressive scale towards functional. Because like I'm at that point where I feel like I know enough to be dangerous, but I don't like, it still hasn't just yet. Like, oh yeah, that's how I approach 90% of the problems. And then 80%, and then like the 20% I've got to just like go talk to someone or whatever. But I haven't really immersed myself in it.
I've been immersed. I've been baptized. So like now my whole mind thinks in map, filter, reduce, type of operations when I'm writing code. And Yo, you check out my GitHub Nikeza, and you will see like Egyptian hieroglyphics. Whether you want to look at the Elm code on the client or the Fsharp code on the server. And honestly, I'm pretty impressed with the code that I wrote, even though it's probably like horrible to like, any of the like well-known functional programmers.
Well,
But
that's
I mean, I've
anyone.
come a long way in the past 2 years since I made my declaration to learn it. So
How is Nikita going, anyways?
I just passed 900 commits, and
Nice.
I plan on deploying it before I reach 1,000.
So you got 100 commits to make it good.
Yeah,
Or better.
Yeah. The thing is like two people gave me feedback. Like Michael, I showed. Are you familiar with Michael Feathers?
Oh yeah, the legacy code basically guy. Yep.
So I showed him what I was working on. He's like, "Oh, that's cool. You might want to get a UX designer." And I'm like, and he just looked at me. I'm like, okay. I mean, like, which kind of I appreciate him telling me that. It just sucks that like the majority of the world. I appreciate him telling me that. It's just unfortunate that reality is that the majority of people grade you as a developer based on your artistic ability of pixels and shades of colors, and not on how you packaged or routed data in the least bit of ceremony that you did it in, and how elegant you made it look, yet simple. Like they don't grade you on what they can't really see. And so another person, I showed them at a different cafe last night. They're like, "Yo, that's really cool." Yeah, but you need to do something with that UI. I'm like, thanks.
Isn't that premature optimization though? To a certain extent.
No, not when you've been working on it for 4 months. I've John Sonmez, big props to him. I pretty much adopted one of his recommendations of maintaining a daily quota or a daily system. So I maintain a daily quota of at least 1 hour, at least, of writing code for this particular project. I adopted that when he was talking about how he wrote his book, in which he dedicated, I think he said he dedicated 3 hours a day, no matter what, and he got it done in 6 months. So I adopted that technique, and it's been working out, man. Brick by brick, over time, things are starting to come together.
Yeah. I mean, like the tech is there probably for sure, right? It's just that like everyone says the UI, but like,
yeah.
The
thing is, I look at it like every day. I don't see what people see because I look at it every day. Like it doesn't scream at me of this is horrible. To me, it's normal, but to everybody else, it's their first time looking at it. They're like, "Yeah, Scott, you need to do something about that." I'm like, "Well, I don't have any money to pay someone." Well,
what happened to
the
Lambda cartel? I thought the whole group was working on that. Like,
yeah.
I know we talked about it. We talked about it, but
I thought that too. They're a typical example of people that get excited about working on a brand new project, and then they lose motivation after a couple weeks, and they drop off, and you don't hear from them again.
Yeah,
that's pretty much what happened.
That's me, pretty much every time.
No, don't do that. I'm gonna put you on my hit list too. a huge motivation is a huge motivation is to keep going and to get some type of, my goal is to get some type of momentum. And like I'm not a UX designer, but the problem that I'm solving is really, really unique, and it's like really, really useful. And so it's kind of me retaliating to get it done and then to rub it in their face. I shouldn't have said that out loud, but that's my motive. So it is what it is.
Hey, it's a motivation, That's whatever you can find, man. That's awesome. We were just talking today about at work. Well, sort of at work. I was messaging back and forth with some people, and for some reason we're talking about like dieting or whatever. And I'm like, oh yeah, I've got this secret weapon. It's basically, But it's only applicable to men, which is probably unfortunate. But so if I want to reach a target weight, you know what I'll do? I'm just not going to shave or cut my hair until I achieve that. You have no idea how powerful that is from a motivation perspective.
I have a better technique. You know what I do when I lose 15 pounds in like 1 month? I lose a lot of money, and my hairline recedes another inch, and I lose weight without even having to exercise.
Damn! I just gotta lose all my money.
Like
I not know this.
I had a financial meltdown like 2 or 3 years ago, and I dropped like 15 pounds in 1 month. I stopped eating. Like I am an animal when it comes to like money. Like when something happens and it's catastrophic, my nervous system like shuts down. Like whatever that system is, I don't know if it's nervous system, respiratory system. It's definitely
we'll call it the lymphatic system because I don't know what that is.
System, but like I shut down. You know, I won't eat, and I just go into zombie mode until things pick up again. So
yeah, see, I'm the opposite. Like I'll eat probably way too much, or actually, if anything, super comfortable. You ever do like, well, because I don't know, like if you've ever had to worry about fitness or whatever, but like, have you ever done like intermittent fasting at all?
No, but when you text me that you were, or when you tweeted that you were ready, I had just finished my 1 mile run on the beach, and it was like pitch black out there. So I've been trying to run like every day.
Oh, cool.
And for the first time in a really long time, I caught the runner's high. I'm not sure if you're into like
I've heard about it.
Running. So I never really spent time in church, but it's kind of like catching the Holy Ghost. Have you ever been to a black church before?
No.
Okay. You ever see those parodies or those shows where like, you know, it's usually like some lady, she catches the Holy Ghost and she starts yep, that. So I caught that when I went running today, and it's essentially when it feels really good as you're like borderline sprinting, you know, and you can maintain it for a mile or two, and like you feel no pain. You just feel good. You feel good that your body is like just in full, like just at maximum efficiency, and like your mind just is really enjoying it, and it's not complaining about slow down or where's the next milestone. It's just you feel free, and your body is nothing but a mechanical machine that's well oiled and greased up. And I haven't hit that in a long time. My knee wasn't complaining, so it felt good, man.
Yeah, I did I got into kind of running to a certain extent a couple of years ago. Actually, if you listen to my DOF interview, developer on fire, I think I suggest running as like a way to like your 3 tips or whatever at the end. But I got to the point where like I was running, like I ran a 5K and all that, but my shoulder just started getting to me, and it's like I can't enjoy this because by about midway through, it's like I got to stop because I just like can't do anything.
Well, yeah, that's another subject. Like I injured my shoulder, have no clue how, and I was like, yo, I'm gonna learn from the mistake I made last time. I'm gonna take 3 weeks and just rest it because I don't want to take 3 years for this to heal, like my knee. And the thing is, I'm not sure if I made the right decision. And you'll hear me mention John Simons a lot. I guess I'm a groupie, but like that whole maintaining a routine or a ritual and then stopping that factory and then trying to restart that factory, like it almost never works out, man. So like I was getting muscles, man. I'm in like Fort Lauderdale and South Beach, and like I'm getting really good attention from people that I want attention from, and and I'm like really feeling myself because I've been like really dedicated going to the gym. In addition to like writing code at nighttime, and in addition to doing the normal 9 to 5, and then when I injured my shoulder, I had like a downward spiral. Like I stopped lifting weights. I was still writing code, but I was started getting fat because I couldn't remove myself from the keyboard, and it just went like downhill, man. And then like the way I was feeling about myself, I started getting low self-esteem again. And it's weird, man. I wish I could get another shot at living life, man. All this stuff I'm learning, it's going to be wasted when I'm gone. So,
Well, who knows? Maybe after this life you do have another chance. We don't know. It could be anything.
it'll probably be it'd be nice to be in another galaxy, but then I might be like a peasant somewhere else in a different world.
You could
Or
be, yeah, it could be anything. Like, or you could be a king, right? And just be like, hey, I get to work. I get to get the runner's high because I can run because I'm a king
I
around my
think,
peasants. I don't know.
well,
That's kind of silly.
I think that's only this is me being geeky. I think that's only relative to mammals. I think alphas are only mammals. I don't think you see that hierarchy with reptiles or with fish or with birds. Um, so meaning that in another world, because let's say reincarnation, if it were real, why would it be on planet Earth? You already had your chance. You screwed it up. So it would maybe be in some other universe or some other galaxy, if you're into multi-universe theory or string theory or anything like that. And so you would come back. Of course, you probably would have no clue that this is yet another life, but you would come back as some being, but it may not have the same type of social structure that we're used to on planet Earth, where there's a hierarchy and there's social classes. So, all right, that's me digging deep into things that most people don't care about.
Well, I care about them. So,
Yeah.
but I don't know. This whole thing is pretty much a simulation anyway. So, right.
You mentioned that the last time we talked.
Yeah, I think I did. So, but that's just what it is. It's a simulation. When we're done, we're just gonna recycle we're gonna get freed. Like some alien somewhere has wrote a free statement that says free Scott, and then it's gonna free you from the memory allocation, and then
Oh, that
it's
must
gonna
be
start. It's gonna be like Malak new Scott, and then it's just gonna be over again.
there's no garbage collection. They're using an auto pointer or a smart pointer.
Oh no, they're just gonna free and auto like
You see
they
the
write C. The simulators write C because it wouldn't be too fast if they wrote anything with garbage collection, right? I
you
don't
see
know.
you're
Maybe.
starting to lose me now because I used to be a C++ programmer 10 years ago. I have no clue how I made money doing that because I can't write C++, but I was doing Microsoft Foundation classes. I have no clue.
Yeah.
Apparently, I was delivering something, but I can't write. If you ask me to write C++ code, I'm like, I quit.
I think everyone says that. It's like, yeah, I know C++, but what I really know is C, and I can make a class around my C code. That's nice. I
Yeah,
don't know. I used to think it was kind of been like I used to think it was actually kind of like, oh, if you know C, that's like a hard thing to know. But now, after I've experienced functional programming, it's there's a whole new level.
no, C++ to me is very low level and complicated. So I remember I could not decipher the compile errors. I would have like this extern. I would always get like my compile errors will always say like symbol extern or extern symbol and some funky characters next to it. And I'm like, I don't know what this means. Like, why can't you give me a friendly message? Like, I'm not
You
a compiler.
segfault
Like,
didn't
speak
know.
English, mother. Anyway.
That I mean, that's pretty much everyone's experience with it.
Well,
Eventually,
with C++, yeah. I mean, with C Sharp,
yeah.
you get perfect error messages. And
Did you ever write just straight C, like without
no,
classes or anything? No. Okay.
no. That's like asking me if I ever, well, coursework, yeah. When when I did I had coursework with Unix. I think there was some C programming where we had to make sockets talk to each other. I don't even know if I'm using the term right, but I mean that was just at the university. Uh, I did C++ for for a flagship software that's used in the automation industry.
Hmm.
You know, there's a lot of respect for software that's out there that's 15, 20 years old. That it's still having versions added to it. Not just being maintained, but I'm saying a new version every 9 months or 16 months. Like that says a lot about the developers there.
Yeah, for sure.
I've worked with developers that write legacy code within the first week. There won't be a new version of the software. It's done. It died as soon as they started tapping on the keyboard. You know.
I write. Well, I guess I should say I write legacy software every day when I write JavaScript, probably. So
Yo, you gotta start writing Elm, man.
you know, the thing is like you know what they say is like the platform chooses you, like because pretty much like an organization that you're in like picks something. So like
Yeah.
I'm writing Vue with whatever ES16 or whatever, and it's all right. Vue's pretty good, I guess.
I miss my Silverlight. Give me back my Silverlight. You know.
I just want to do C# everywhere though.
Yeah, Csharp.
I love C#, man. Except, well, okay, because I haven't figured out. I haven't quite figured out. Like the thing is like I'm writing like now I'm writing classes where it's like generics within generics within generics because I want to be like a class where it's like, hey, I want this to be
Infinitely
either.
reusable.
I want it to be either this output or an error or nothing or some other thing potentially. I want it to be all those things at one time.
So
And then I
here's the
want to
thing.
make sure it makes me respond to every single one of those. And I want to make sure that anyone who reads it knows that those are the things that could be resolved.
Is that still rendered simple?
Hmm?
Is that still rendered simple code?
No, I'm writing like not simple code. What? I don't know. What?
Meaning, are you taking pride in writing an infinitely reusable class? That could be either an error message or a widget or whatever else you mentioned.
No, like this is like I want like a maybe type or like like a option type or a
Yeah,
and like an error. I don't know what it would be if it's this or an error, but
it's I think it's called a result type.
yeah, like
So
so
result type is okay or error.
yeah.
A maybe, if it's an Elm, or an option, which is the same thing in Fsharp, is basically some or none in Fsharp, or just or nothing in Elm.
Yeah, so like at my like we've instituted like there's a result type which can be either the value or like an error, and then there's like it'll be like often we'll get like a result of maybe this or something like that. So it's like a result of maybe a customer, let's just say.
So why don't I just okay? Let me make
Yeah,
sure let me
because
make sure I use the right tone, because I've been accused of talking down to people. Um,
you can
have
talk
you
down to me. That's fine.
have you considered just using a language that was designed for that?
Uh, I think it's just the platform thing. Like, so a lot of like the organizations, like a lot of them are into .NET, but from a C# perspective, and it's if you're gonna jump to F#, like there's a learning curve that people don't want to pay for.
You can still write utilities in Fsharp.
Oh, I know.
I did that at
Utility,
the last
like,
shop I was at. So
but this
like,
is like production code, like
well,
stuff. I don't
well,
know.
what I mean is like you could write a library that basically isn't necessarily domain logic. It's just a utility, such as like converting uh, one type to another type. You know, things that can be self-contained. You could still take the opportunity, I would say, to write it in a language that basically excels at that. And then over time, people are going to keep referencing, or they can choose to reference that little utility that happens to be written in what they deem as an obscure language. But now they have exposure to it. And then you can, again, keep your domain logic in C#, but little niche pieces of utilities that your domain logic may rely on can still be written in something else. And people shouldn't really complain about it because it's not core logic that deals with business rules or policies. It's just conversion crap, you know? So,
yeah, but that kind of infrastructure stuff gets maintained by the developers, and like
tell
to get
them
it
to man
through.
up. They're goddamn
To,
programmers. Like,
half of them are women, so I don't know if I should tell them to man up, but
film up.
them up. Yeah, I don't know. But no, it's I don't know. It's I guess maybe I've never asked, so it's kind of like the like, oh, I'd never get into an MVC conference, but you've never submitted, so how do you know you would? Yeah, you know, I guess like, what if tomorrow I was like, you know what, here's some Fsharp code, let's try this. I don't know what would happen.
Well, I know what happens when I do it. I've done it before.
Yeah.
I'll first, because you know every organization I go to, they have no clue what a unit test is. I'm having a meltdown. Hold up. All right.
Wait. I know what a unit test is. It means it talks to the database, and it takes about 70 seconds to compile, and then it runs, and it's inconclusive.
Their definition is, oh, we don't have time for unit tests. Do you know how to write one? Yeah, I just don't have time. Okay, let me see you write one. I don't have time. Well, okay. But you have time to launch the application over and over again and navigate to all these different pages and then step through the debugger. You have time to do that. Oh, Scott, why are you acting like this? Like, okay, I'm starting to have a flashback.
So I think I've finally like taken the pill on unit testing within Csharp. Like, I get it, and like within JavaScript, it's still freaking a miserable slog. Like, I can't bring myself to do it for some reason. Like, I want to, but it's like, I don't know if it's just because the code is so mutable at this point, where like I'm afraid everything I'm going to do is get thrown out tomorrow because of just the state of the project as a whole. But like the C# code, I'm like, I know I can do this, and this is what everything is going to be, and I can
before
make
or
it
after
with unit testing. Like, I can just
before or after, as in like you write a unit test after.
I'll do it before and after.
Okay.
Depends on if I'm just replicating the same thing over again, or if I'm like starting something new that I'm not like really like, I'm not sure how to do this well. If it's just like 90% of the code's the same, it's just a different like thing, I'll just like write it after because I can just hammer it out. It's more than I just want it there for regressions instead of.
Yeah. So I don't know. To me, it's an automated checklist, or in your term, regression. And like, it just feels good to know that you didn't F anything else up. Like, you go from milestone to milestone to milestone, and each test that passes represents that milestone is still good. You don't have to retreat. You don't have to backtrack. And you just keep going. And it's like, to me, I don't understand how people cannot work. Like, I've worked I've worked on projects where like I don't know how to gauge my progress. Like, I don't know how to just write code and then launch the UI and then write some more code that's completely unrelated to the code that I wrote 2 weeks ago and know that everything still works. And all that stuff is mutable, states mutable, all that crap is like, I don't know how to do that. I'll just be spinning my wheels. So I'm kind of stuck in my own little, I don't know. I guess I can't relate to the traditional way of building software.
Well, I do that. Like,
I have to know where I'm at. I can't just keep writing code and assume that all the stuff that was written before still works. Like, I can't do that. I have to know that everything still passes, and now I can move on. And this now passes too. Now I can move on to the next part. This passes too. And it's like battle after battle after battle in this campaign that we call a war. Until everything's done. There's no more battles. Everything's green. All right, let me move on to another project. Like, that's my workflow. It feels good.
Yeah, I think it depends on how well I know like the domain, because like I can write a lot of code and just be like, oh my god, it all worked. That's great. You know, and and run it maybe 2 or 3 times, clear a couple bugs, and like a lot of code's done. But it just depends on how well I know what the outcome is going to be. And then like a lot probably depends on like, are you writing it for someone else, or are you writing it just for fun, or whatever. But the biggest thing I like about it is the fact that like before I've done things where it's like there's an assumption I'm putting in here that's probably not obvious. And I could see somebody changing this code because they don't know the assumption that I have at this time. And I don't know how to express it in any other way. So if you write a test and then just put the comments in there on why that test exists at all.
Comments.
Well, comments in a description of like, why am I testing this particular thing? Like, this is why I'm testing this particular thing, because if you change this, it's going to mess things up. Because what'll happen is when someone inevitably changes that thing and then they get a test failure, they'll go and look at the test and it'll tell them the exact, it's like the compilation errors you talked about before. Like, it'll tell you exactly why you need to deal with this particular situation. Now, those are very rare, actually. Like 90% of the shit's just like, oh, this thing returned this thing, and this thing returned this thing, and okay, that's what we expected the total possible results to be, or whatever.
So there's a couple of things, right? I'm not sure where to start. So do you plan on making a declaration to dig deeper into functional programming?
A declaration? No, I mean,
Yeah,
it's just gonna do it eventually. I don't know. Like,
you don't make declarations.
Okay, so here's my current thing, right? So I'm working on this, like, there's this what I call a fantasy console that, like, have you ever heard of fantasy consoles at all? Not like in a back room of a strip club fantasy console. Like,
didn't know there was one like that, but
all right.
No, I'm not familiar with it.
So a fantasy console is like, so it's kind of like a emulated hardware type thing. It's like trying to recreate the feeling of like an NES, but from a Nintendo,
that stuff
whatever,
cool.
from like a programmer's perspective. So there's one called Pico 8, which is just kind of popular out there, where it's you've got a limited color palette, you've got so many sprites or whatever. Well, there's a game jam or a dev jam going on right now where you try to create one of those in 2 weeks. And I started getting to the okay, I need to pick a scripting language for this. And it's like, I want, like, all right, maybe I'll write some sort of basic thing. And then I got into like, oh, maybe what would it be like if this is purely functional? And then I started down the road of like, how would you write a purely functional language? And now I'm in the midst of it. And I feel like I finally figured out what a monad is, but I still can't explain it. So, but I probably don't know.
I don't know what a monad is. My at a high level, I think it has something to do with managing side effects.
Well, yeah. So I think what the
I don't
deal
even
is,
care what a monad is, because it's like it's not in my reality, you know.
Yeah, I think so. Like, everything I've watched on this be like, you've either used it or created it, and you don't even know it, probably. Yeah. And I don't know.
I purchased this book about 3 weeks ago, and I've only completed the first chapter because I've been so busy on my open source project. This is I'm not sure if you can read it, but it's called Type-Driven Development with Idris.
Oh.
And this is like next generation, like grandchildren type programming. What they'll be using. That's probably an exaggeration. But basically, my understanding of this Idris programming language is it pretty much tells you I don't even know how to explain it because I haven't even written any code in it. But my understanding is it tells you what cases you didn't cover as you're declaring your dependent types. And dependent types are types that depend on variables.
Oh, they're dependent types. I guess they're depending on things, right?
Well, so for example, an example of something that could benefit from dependent types is when you work in the insurance industry and you're dealing with policies. And so you want to represent a type of someone that is a child. Well, the definition of a child is probably someone that's under the age of 18 or maybe under the age of 16, but it may also depend on the country, right? Well, how do you represent that as a type? And the thing is, in C# or F# or probably most languages, you can't really embed that logic as its own type. You can't really embed that if the age is under 18, then this type is going to be child, right? And if it's over 18 or equal to or over 18, it's going to be adult. Like, you can't really do that in C#. You just have a type called person, and then you have some methods that, or switch statements or whatever, that will funnel the age of that person, and it'll maybe create a type. Anyway, with this, it just does things a lot safer. So my understanding is you don't have to write as many tests or example-based tests as you would normally, because all this stuff is embedded or encoded, wherever the right term is, into your own types.
I
don't know
so if there's like constraints kind of built into the type system then.
Yeah. But I haven't had any time to really dig deep into it because I'm trying to get this freaking project done. Honestly, I don't think I'm going to read this book. Like, I've read the first chapter. I'll probably read the conclusion. I don't have time.
Well, it looks good, but I've realized don't just search for Idris or Idris, because it'll just return to Idris Elba, and then you're stuck on Idris Elba for the next 10 Googles. No, you have to search for Idris language.
It looks cool. I want to, like, I don't know. I want to be in the ivory tower. I've been trying really hard to be in the ivory tower. And,
don't be in that ivory tower. Be in the freaking Spog like the rest of us. Come on. That's the best place to be.
I don't want to be in the projects anymore. I want to be in the ivory tower. Like, so, but I don't know. Idris is, I probably won't be able to get to this for like another 2 years, and then hopefully it'll be production ready.
You should just convert all of Nikiza to Idris on the back end, and then you're good, right?
Actually,
how do you type someone?
I would build a microservice in Idris, and then blog the hell out of it, and then I could live in my ivory tower. Now, what was your question?
I don't know.
You said, how do I something?
Gosh, what was it? Oh God, I don't know.
You mentioned something about the back end.
I don't remember what I just said, so we can move on.
How do you blog about something? I don't know.
How do I blog? No,
I thought you said something about, oh, who is this?
Somebody actually on? Hi.
Oh no, I got a message. And,
oh, if you want to take a video, I'll say hi to them too. It's fine.
No.
Occasionally, I've popped onto your Duke channel and I've been like, oh, Scott's fine. I'm just gonna troll him now.
What are you working on in your off? Did you just had another kid or something? Oh,
well, like a year ago. It'll be a year in 10 days.
Okay.
But so yeah, I've worked on that for a while. I don't know, like it's kind of so a couple of years ago, like when I like met you guys and met some other people, it was kind of like my job was going crappy and like I felt stuck, and it's like, oh, I gotta get out there and do stuff, and then like I actually switched jobs and moved, and everything is like good now from a job perspective. So it's like that motivation is that you talked about earlier is kind of to do a lot of this stuff is gone, but I'm still doing stuff for whatever reason. Like I got this conference coming up in January, and like why did I submit to that? I don't know.
Have you ever had the urge? And I mean, if it's something worth talking offline another time, then that's fine too. But have you ever had the urge to like just try building your own product?
Oh yeah, every day. The the problem is like I get about 10 feet into it, and like then there's this other thing over here that I want to do, or I don't know. Like
So you're just like the Lambda cartel.
I don't see, but the thing is I always go solo on stuff. Like it's mostly like I get excited, and then it's like there's I don't know. It's always just my own projects though. Like I've never tried to do things as part of a team, really. Not in any sort of serious fashion, anyways. Other than work, obviously, where you just get paid automatically. But
I think I've given up on teams. I'm starting to embrace that I'm just not a team player. There's a book that I downloaded. You know how in like 2017 we don't read books, we download them, and we listen to books. We don't read it, but it's a book called Relentless, and supposedly it's from a personal trainer of Michael Jordan, and it basically talks about the different categories of a competitor. Um, someone that does just enough to collect their paycheck, a person that is passionate, but they don't necessarily dominate, but they deliver more than expected, and then this notion of a cleaner, which is someone that is personal. Like they take it personal, and they have this obsession that may be borderline unhealthy, but this is their drug. And so obviously Michael Jordan, Larry Bird, and there's a number of other people where like you put them on a team, but like you basically have to build a team around them, because they're not just going to be a team player. They need to have a team follow them and complement them. And so in other words, when I was consuming that audiobook, it kind of made me feel better about like some of the challenges that I've been facing, where like maybe it's okay if I have higher standards and I want to try to push myself to do the absolute best. And I practice to go faster with higher quality. And maybe, man, it feels good that there's other people that have that same type of mentality. I'm not alone. I'm not that crazy. There's people that really do care and they take it personal. So I recommend that book, man. It's pretty good. They drop a lot of F-bombs in it, but it's pretty good.
well, who doesn't drop a lot of F-bombs? I mean, really. No.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. So like the whole thing is so I've desired. How do you get that to that point? Like, is it just ingrained in you and you can't do anything about it? If you're like, I've wondered some like God, why am I not just more capable of being driven on these things? Like, or like, how do I get to that point? Or is it just nobody is that way? Is just some people decide?
Well, I'm not sure. I'm not sure if you're asking the right person, but I will say that I'm willing to bet that a significant number of people that are extremely competitive, or that take things very, very personal when it comes to their craft or their practice, are probably people that are trying to overcompensate for something that they may feel inadequate in other areas, whether it's something that happened during their childhood, uh, or something that they just always struggle with in life. Since they feel so shitty in one area, um, they try to overcompensate in another to hopefully chase for some type of balance to feel stable, in a way that's I want to say that's kind of my mentality. Is there's some things that have happened to me that I didn't really feel good about. I always felt inadequate. And as a result, as soon as I found something that some people said that I was pretty smart at or pretty good at, then that became a drug. And I kept on having to take a hit over and over again. And whenever someone would try to downplay my progress, I would take it personal, and I would have to try to destroy them and dominate. And so, to make a long story short, I think it's people that feel deprived, that feel like they're always on the losing end, and so they're kind of like they have this unhealthy therapist required hunger to try to prove themselves because they're not balanced. That's what I think.
I get, yeah, that makes sense. Like, yeah, everything is just to seek kind of like equilibrium or whatever.
Yeah, or to seek acceptance, but it's kind of weird because usually, this is me being philosophical. Usually, people seek acceptance by fitting in, but people that are really competitive, people that thrive on trying to reach the point of domination, dominating an entire space, their form of acceptance isn't fitting in with everybody else. It's being at the highest point where everybody else is below them, and that's how they. It's kind of weird, you know. That's their acceptance, is they've been accepted as one of the greatest, or one of the smartest, or one of the strongest, versus trying to be like everybody else. You know, it's weird, man. Like I said, I want to get another chance at living life, so I can take all this game that I'm soaking up right now and live it perfectly next time, flawlessly.
Well, don't you have the next 40 years to do that, though?
No. No.
As long as another hurricane doesn't blow you away or something.
My father dropped dead at 43. And
oh,
so
dude, you'll live to be 87.
I've always had that number planted in my head.
Predict 87 right now. You can just throw that aside. 87 is the age.
87 is when I could probably, or when most people can probably collect Social Security. by the time, if they live that long, they're going to keep moving it up. Like, no, we're not going to give it to you. All right, so you only have 5 years left in your life. Okay, here you go. You'll spend half of it.
Yeah, I decided if I reach 80, I'm going to do cocaine. I don't think there's any problem with that. No, I'm serious. I'm going to, as long as there is still that thing around, 80. Like it's not like in my prime years, or it's not like
cocaine or crack.
I haven't even smoked like marijuana or anything, like nothing. I'm not gonna do it unless it's actually like perfectly legal, because I'll have beer and stuff like that. That's fine. But like,
why do you have beer? Because society says it's legal after they lost to the.
But I have a thing about the rules for some reason, and that's a weird thing with me. Is like I hate what, like, I have this bizarre respect for the rules, except for if I really, really feel like they're totally just unfounded or something. I don't know. I guess if they're not set by a real authority, then it pisses me off. I don't know what it is. You were talking about competition earlier, and have you ever taken,
I love the way you changed the subject.
Yeah. I don't want to get into how I'm going to do cocaine when I'm in the 80s. What will I be when I'm 80? God, I'm 30. What am I, 32? So 50 years from now will be what? 2067? Like, dang.
Oh, hopefully, I don't know about you, but if somehow, some way, I live that long, I'm gonna be on another planet. I'm gonna be on Mars in some greenhouse at a resort.
I was gonna say eating poop potatoes or what?
No, at a resort in Mars somewhere, and they can spread my ashes over there. So, yeah, you said 2060. Like, things should be like crazy, crazy, crazy. Back to the Future 3-ish.
So I've wondered this. All right. So you know how they talk about the 40s and the 50s and the 60s, or whatever.
I don't really hear about the 40s except for World War II. The 50s is
Talk about music, maybe
well,
like
60s is Cold War.
But people talk about that. But like, I wonder when we get to like to be in our like 80s, because you're gonna live to 87, obviously. Like, are people gonna be like, oh yeah, remember the 30s? Gosh, those were the times. And then it'll be like the 30s, like the 2030s.
Remember when the United States used to be a world power? So I think everybody's going to speak English. Everybody's going to speak English.
Or Chinese, depending. There's a lot of Chinese.
There will be no such thing as an Anglo-Saxon. The whole white race will be all mulatto. Like everybody's going to be mixed. I believe that. But in 2060.
Except for old assholes like us.
Except for Amish people. People that like, okay, I have to be careful.
You go to a zoo and be like, oh, here's the white people. No?
But yeah, everybody's going to be mixed,
Well, yeah, I think that they talked about like eventually there'll be just one convergent. Well, everyone will be slightly different though. Like it'll be one convergent kind of race, but like I don't know.
Well, people will still find differences.
Yeah, right. You're just not quite white enough or black enough or whatever enough. We're the and then they'll do everything in terms of like hexadecimal pixels or something like that. You're not like we're EDs, ECs, and you're EDs. So obviously,
well, it'll probably be like biblical times and based on lineage, if I use that term right. And so, like, you didn't come from the bloodline of.
It'll be all based on
Obama. Or I'm going to this bloodline, because it's no longer a pure like African, Asian, white. Is there another race out there? Or Indian,
African, Asian, white, Indian, Pacific.
Well, Indians considered Asian though.
What? Really? No.
I mean, Native Americans, they're extinct, so I don't think that's a race anymore.
No, they're not.
They're extinct.
Extinct. You've been to Minnesota? Like,
no.
Come here, Minnesota. I'll show you. Native is like a whole like their own thing, man.
They own casinos in Minnesota too.
Yeah, like so Minnesota. Yeah, that's like a treaty type thing. So they own all the casinos in Minnesota.
Man, F that. They should give black people casinos. I'm sorry, I thought out loud.
That might work. Who knows? I don't know. But they also have like reservations. I don't. It's a weird like it's. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I wasn't there when reservations were made. It's just the whole concept just weird to me. Like, let's all just get along and live together. But like, no, it's like there's.
Well, my understanding is it's like autonomy until you commit something federal.
Yeah. So it's like it is like so the Red Lake Reservation, which is north of where I went to school, like they are like a sovereign nation. So you go up into there, they have their own set of laws and stuff like that. That's kind of separate. Like you can drive through there and go on the highways and go to their stuff, but like they are like a sovereign. They have their own license plates. They have like everything is theirs. Like it's different. It's weird. And not weird, but just different.
Yeah, I mean, but I'll still say it's like they're borderline extinct. So, like, I mean, I think that they should have some privilege because I mean they've been destroyed, and it may be a sensitive subject, but it's the truth. Like, it's in Cleveland and in Miami, like I don't see them unless I'm at a casino. And they run the casinos,
Well, I mean, if you lived in Bemidji, where I lived, they were like Native Americans were all over the place. It was that's just the way it was. I mean, but I don't know. Maybe it's because I've like lived alongside them so many. I don't know. I don't know. Like the whole they were. I've never understood the whole like and I'm just probably a dumbass, but it's like not that, but just the whole like the separation of someone from their individuality to their like cultural collective. Like, so individually, like, has anybody really like totally dominated and destroyed this single person right here that lives right here at this point in time. Like, but then you say they got dominated or destroyed, but is that the collective, all of them, and every single one of them isn't. It's like, or just like white people, like we've just totally came in and dominated. Well, I wasn't here when this crap went down. Like I didn't like blow people up. Like I didn't like kick people off their land.
Your lineage.
My lineage did. Yeah. Like I don't care. My ancestors did that shit. I would have been happy being back in split across Ireland, Poland, German, whatever, all these places, Norway and Sweden, eating potatoes and
so this is where I wish. What's his name? Is his name Terrence McGee?
Oh yeah, Terrence. Yeah.
This is where he could probably fill you in with his opinion.
Like, I don't get it. Like I wasn't there. Me personally, I wasn't there. Now I benefit maybe from that. Like, and maybe I have to respect the fact that what I have now was because of that. But I don't know if I should feel bad. Like, is there a way to recuse yourself from that or renounce yourself? I don't get it. Like,
oh man, you could give some reparations. You could write a check. But all right, so
I'm giving you my time right now. This is the reparations I'm doing. No,
I didn't know you were doing
my Irish ancestors owned everyone that you were. No, I don't know.
So I would say this. I would say that because I mean it's kind of like this. Well, I'm not sure if it's the same case for Australia with the Aborigines. I heard they treat them like crap, but I don't know because I have a cousin that lives there, but I've never been to Australia. But I will say this. I think that you should consider what it means to be a product of an environment and how policies or behaviors from past generations, especially generations that have dominated and had maybe spread the wealth amongst themselves, but not necessarily amongst people that were different from them, how that could shape people's belief systems of especially next generations. So I know that kind of, let me try to decipher what I just said. So I'm just going to speak.
Just be blunt.
I'm going to speak my belief system. Okay. There's a reason why, even till this day, there's still a significant number of Black children that when they grow up, they want to be an entertainer. All right. Now, some people say, oh, no, Scott, you mean like a basketball player, football player, or a singer, or an actor. Nah, an entertainer, because that's what they are. You play with a ball to entertain a demographic of people. And I've mentioned this before on Developer on Fire. And so when you only see people that look like your color making money by entertaining others, such as playing with a ball or putting your lips on a microphone, and they're making, millions of dollars, and that's all you see. You don't see, some tech founder that looks like this, that the media talks about every single day, that they gossip about every single day. You don't see that, they don't glamorize, engineers, lawyers, with the exception of Johnny Cochran. Like, it's not mainstream. So what the media puts in front of you is people that look like you guys are more than likely going to be able to make millions of dollars by being entertainers. Play with that ball, put your lips on that microphone, do a little dance, and that's your meal ticket, right? And so, to make a long story short, I think that a lot of us have been programmed, privileged people have been programmed to basically aim for the stars, right? And that's great, like build empires, like carry on the family-owned business or do whatever. Like I feel like I'll just say for white folks, right? And I know a lot of people will say, "Oh no, Scott, that's not the case." But I feel like with white folks, like I will be in a restaurant and I will see how like their little kids are included in at the dinner table in conversation. There's no notion of, be quiet when grown folks are talking. Like I don't see that with white families. Maybe it happens, but I don't see that. Like I see little children, their voices are being heard. But I feel like within my culture, like you speak when spoken to. Like you don't, and maybe this is my own little personal situation or my own family situation, but like you're kind of hindered. You're not really included, and so like you don't really start developing yourself and getting with people that are very mature in their own thoughts since adults until like later on, like adolescent life. And so I'm sure I butchered what I was trying to articulate, but to make long story short, for the same reason that my belief system is white people have trust funds before they even come into this world.
I don't have a trust fund. That isn't true.
But black children, they have bills put in their name, the light bill or electric bill. Like,
well, unless you're white from Detroit, maybe.
I feel like there's certain disadvantages or certain privileges that people just have, and it is what it is, and it just keeps getting passed down from generation to generation. And as long, yeah,
go ahead.
No, that's pretty much it.
So gonna say, just like, so the one thing I don't understand about the whole entertainer thing is like, I know like there seems to be the ideation like among white people that is what you want to be, like like not like I don't want to be the Zuckerberg's, man, or whoever that small set of CEOs who are all assholes. It's like it'd be awesome if I could be a damn like football player, but partially it's like, but maybe I can't be because just biologically for whatever reason, like I'm too small, so I'm gonna be not that at all. Like what can I be? Like you desire to be certain things. Hockey players, just like if you're white, you got to be a hockey player. That's like your only outlet, or soccer maybe.
Or baseball,
because soccer is almost like an equalizer. There doesn't seem to be any race dominating soccer, which is kind of cool, but like everything else, like no. Or you could be a professional bass fisherman maybe, but I think anybody could be a professional bass fisherman. So
I don't even know what it means to be a professional bass fisherman.
I don't understand. Like you catch bass as a living, man. You get like, there's professional bass fishermen, right?
On ESPN2. I mean, I'm like, who watches this crap? Why would I spend an hour of my life watching someone fish? I'm not friends with them. Like, yeah. But going back to like the Native Americans and like how they have their own autonomous societies, for lack of a better term, and their own programs, like I feel like they haven't received the same opportunities. Honestly, I don't think I've received the same opportunities. I know that for a fact. Hence, my work ethic is I have to like prove myself and be like try to be 2 times better than your typical mainstream developer to be considered for the same opportunities. Yeah, I want more pay because, well, I'm working harder for it. But like, to make long story short, I would say that like I'm gonna talk about Jews. Okay.
Man. Just kidding.
Jews are known to usually be successful. They're also, I'm gonna keep this clean. Jews are known for usually being successful and keeping the business within their network. And some people have been known to get frustrated with that type of culture or that type of, culture of doing things. But the thing is, it's like they build empires together. They they complement each other's businesses. They basically build an industry, whatever, and they keep it all within their community. That's what popular belief is. That's the way I view it. I could be wrong, and that's great. However, there's certain demographics where people don't pull other people up, you know, and so, for example, there's people that have wealth. They're known for being in an area or a location that's known for a certain skill, and they don't spread that know-how. They don't spread that they don't share that ability or that infrastructure with people that don't look like them. I mean, I'm trying not to be blatant, but like usually people keep it like within the family, or they keep it within their tribe. And so as a result, like if others aren't able to benefit from what other people excel at, then how are they going to come up? And I'm not necessarily, asking for charity or anything like that, but I am asking for, like, there should be some fairness. Like, someone shouldn't be skipped over because of tribal reasons. Like, if you demonstrate that you're really good at something, and you demonstrate that you have crazy potential, then you should really be considered. And so I'm kind of going scatterbrain, but there's a reason why prisons are filled with, what, 70% black people. There's a reason why. And I don't believe that 70% of black people are committing all the crimes. I believe that there's certain quotas that are made. I believe that there's certain reasons why people believe that they need to make the decisions that they made, because they didn't have the same opportunities. I don't believe that victimizing other people is justification, but I'm willing to bet that if everybody had the same opportunities, if everybody had a trust fund before they came into this world, things would be different. Prisons wouldn't be dominated by one nationality, or shall I say ethnicity. Things would be way different. But we look out for each other, and I think it's normal. We look out for our own tribe, and then if there's still bread left to break, then okay, we'll help out other people, but we take care of our own first. And that's why I think we have what we have today. And I'm willing to think that this is just America. I'm starting to believe that this is just America. I don't think it's. I mean, I don't live in Europe, but I've been told on numerous occasions that, like, it's not that same type of mentality in European countries. I know for a fact it is in Latin countries. Miami's a Latin country.
Well, I mean, if that was true, like, if that was true, would we have ever had World War II? Or is it just now so swung so far the other way?
Well, my understanding, what society has taught me in regards to history, was World War II was based on someone being really frustrated with how things were going with a certain demographic of people, and they decided to do some really evil things, and they got really successful at it.
Yeah.
Well, successful isn't the right word. They became
proficient.
Yeah. I don't want to say successful, like killing people,
yeah,
or massacring people.
Well, just contextually, like, yeah, they were successful.
They became a big problem.
Yeah, it's just you don't want to put it in any sort of euphemistic sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I don't know, man. It's just like I always wonder is like everything, like we talk about all this stuff, is like, what do this one individual right here have to do with any of this? And how do I, like, what is my role in this?
The thing, I understand that argument, and believe me, I try my hardest to hold myself accountable. racism has went from the conscious mind to the subconscious mind. It has.
Yeah, yeah.
It has. People aren't even aware.
I'm aware of it. Like this, and I won't use racism because I'm sure it has happened, but I haven't been like hyper aware of because to be honest, it's just like I don't get in that many situations. It's just not that prevalent. Like there's not a lot of people that don't look like me where I live. other than Native Americans, but it did happen. So I'll tell this story, and
Okay.
at KCDC, and I talked about this, and it was a weird experience, and I talked about it with some other people, but I was at the speaker dinner, and there was a guy sitting that I knew, not knew personally, but knew from the internet, like sitting at a table. There was a gal next to him. And I knew this was a speaker dinner, but for some reason in my mind, I could not pattern recognition them away from her being his wife because they were talking. And so I went up and was just like, are you giving a talk? Like, what's your, like, I just didn't even know how to respond to the situation. But I had this total assumption in my head that she was not a speaker, that they're just talking to, like, because she was next to this guy, that she's his wife. And I knew this, like, and I felt just terrible about it. And I don't know, like, but I knew that there was some sort of bias, like some sort of program that's running in my head that made me think this. Even though I caught that program and said, stop, I know that's not true. Like, it still ran.
I mean, I'm guilty of the same thing. Like, I'll go to conferences, and people give me a hard time when I say female. I don't know why. Jessica Tron, you're familiar with her?
Yeah.
She corrected me when I said female because I had her on my YouTube channel. But like, when I'm at conferences, I just assume, or even when I'm at user groups, I just assume that the women there, I'm sorry, but I mean, if we're telling the truth, then, and you told me the truth about how you perceive things, the social conditioning that you've received.
Yeah, it's a program.
Yeah. When I'm at user groups, I assume that the women there are recruiters. Because 99.9% of the time, based on my personal experience, when I say hello to them, they're recruiting. So, like, yeah, my mind has pretty much said, well, yeah, there's a high probability based on your past experiences that this is what this person probably is. And you know what? I mean, I get stereotyped all the time here in Miami. It's frustrating. So I can understand the frustration of women, because they're like, well, why are you judging me based on all these other people? I'm me, you know. Don't put me in the same category with other people, you know. Treat me as an individual. And I completely get it. We're just conditioned to believe otherwise.
But like you were saying, it's in the subconscious. Like, it's not like I consciously think about, like, oh man, I'm gonna just really put down the women and the other, like, minorities and stuff today. Like, it's moved to the unconscious, as you said. So there are people that are self-aware that catch it, and I think that I've, in some circumstances, gotten to that point where I can catch it and recognize it and stop it if it happens. Like, and sometimes it gets through, unfortunately, but like, there's enough self, like, awareness that it happens, but there's just a lot of people don't have that. It's like they're running on autopilot as far as what's going on in their back of their brains. They run. So how do you, like, what can you even do about that? And then, like, we've talked about different ways to solve the problem. Is there something that we're not looking at, that, like, is there like an over here, like a different way to approach this?
I'll tell you what doesn't work. What doesn't work is attempting to destroy someone's superiority complex. Okay. So I've gone into shops, and I mean, to be fair to you, it's not just white folks. It's Indians too. Okay. I mean, I'm being honest.
Well, yeah, the Obsidians, obviously. There's the whites and the Obsidians.
I'm just being honest. Well, I'm not talking Native Americans. I'm talking about like India.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Because they also dominate mainstream software development shops here in the States. At least in Pittsburgh, Miami, Tampa. I'm not sure if in Minnesota.
There's a lot of Indian folks in Minnesota.
Yeah. And so, like, well, you and I are trading our belief systems. It doesn't necessarily mean it's reality, but it's our realities, I think. And so there's been times where like this is what doesn't work when you have someone that has a superiority complex. You know that they don't take you seriously, but they've never examined who you really are. They just look at you. And maybe it's your fault because maybe you're not wearing the finest clothes. Maybe you're kind of comfortable and you're just wearing, jeans and a polo shirt. So you're not representing, someone that is an intellectual. And you get this vibe that, this person, he doesn't take me seriously, whether it's an architect or some lead developer or some developer that's trying his hardest to prove to company XYZ that he or she can be an architect. Usually it's a he. And so like I've been in plenty of places where like people just didn't take me seriously. Maybe for good reason. I don't know. But I'll say, okay, well, you know what? I need to represent. And this is something that Terrence McGee had talked about on Developer on Fire.
Yeah, that was an awesome episode.
It was.
Yeah.
But it's kind of real, at least for me it is, and maybe for him too. And I mentioned it on my first episode before my other episodes got worse. But feeling the need to represent, as in represent for Black folks, because I feel like we don't have the same opportunities. So there's a certain way that I need to perform. And so for people that I perceive that have these superiority complexes, I'm not sure if complexes is a word, if it could be plural or not. I say, okay, well, you know what? This person doesn't take me seriously. This person thinks that I don't know my stuff. This person doesn't understand the arsenal that I have, that this person doesn't understand what I do early in the morning, late at night, while this person is with their own family, right? This person has no clue all the mistakes that I've made on my own personal time so that I could be a superior developer. They don't know who I am, right? But you know what? I'm about to open up. I'm about to open up this arsenal. They about to know who I am. And then I just unleash, right? My code reviews, I fucking unload on them, right? Like they were like the head honcho, and they thought they knew everything, and they were trying to brush me off, and when they brush me off, other people kind of like fall in and they don't take me seriously at all. And I'm like, well, my reputation is online. They don't think I belong here. All right, well, I have a chip on my shoulder, right? And I had to work 3 times as hard as everybody else just to have the same opportunity. So I'm gonna let them know what I know and just unload. And that doesn't work because you're no longer a team player and you're doing too much to basically it's basically being a show off, even though you really are doing it to try to teach people how to be better and try to let people know where their shortcomings are that have been kind of behaving as if they're superior to you and you don't know anything. So I know I'm kind of going scatterbrained right now, but to make a long story short, or to summarize, what doesn't work is enforcing your domain knowledge on people that may not take you seriously. It doesn't work at all. They'll be bothered by it. They may have some difficult time sleeping at night because you really rattled them. I've had dudes get emotional at meetings because I completely unloaded on my technical like abilities, and I completely unloaded on everything that they were doing wrong. And then not only did I tell them what they were doing wrong and how it's going to cost the company, but then I wrote a 5-paragraph essay via email and shared with everybody on this is why it's wrong, but this is how you do it correctly. And look at the size of code of what you had, and I just reduced it to 20%, and it does everything, and it's thoroughly tested. Like, I would go above and beyond to humiliate somebody, and it doesn't work.
Yeah.
It doesn't work. People, instead of looking at me as someone that's really bright and very fast at building something, they view me as a jerk. It doesn't work. So that's what I've learned.
Yeah, isn't it the like there's an essay, or not an essay, a blog post a couple years ago called like Well Actually, and it talks about how like people say in tech often say, well, actually, and then they'll presumably give some sort of actual like fact that's right, like, well, actually, no, you can't do it this way, it's this way. But people are just like, you're fucking jerk. Sorry for you. I don't know if
No.
listed on this, but you're a jerk. You know, the only thing that they get out of that is really that you're a jerk, like, and their feelings are hurt, and they're pissed off at you.
It's been so frustrating that the person that was running this one software shop, I am not lying to you. They had their own little. It was 3 of them, right? And of course, they were all lifers at this company, a well-known company. And like, this is why, and you've kind of asked this question, I think, last year when you were asking questions about consulting. This is why consulting is so valuable. You learn so much across different industries, and you learn so many techniques by learning. Every once in a while, you work with some awesome people. Every once in a while. And you start picking up on really good techniques. You're like, I had no clue I could do it this way. And so you start consulting at different shops, and you start like really perfecting your game, your crafts. And you'll go to one shop where a shop full of lifers, they've never been anywhere. All they know is what they've been doing at this one shop. And I BS you not. This one lead developer, he spent 3 weeks implementing an IOC container. And he like at the daily stand-ups, he would use all these like fancy buzzwords or terminology that the Scrum Master and all these other stakeholders had no clue what it meant. But because he's using all these fancy, elegant words like IOC container and dependency injection and all this stuff that they had no clue about, like, no one would like call him on his BS because no one knew it was BS. And so he took 3 weeks. Like, I'm not sure if you mess around with IOC containers.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
All over the place.
An IOC container, or inversion of control container, it's a glorified effing dictionary object. That's all it is, in which the key is an interface and the value is an instance. That's all it is, or AKA an object.
Yeah.
You can write it in 5 minutes, if that. This dude took 3 weeks, and I called him out on it, and he got really emotional. He started crying. And then it didn't work out after that. But anyway, this is because like people have superiority complexes, and what hurts them the most, and this may not be true, but I think what really like gets at them is when someone that doesn't look like someone that can be superior to them when it comes to technical know-how is really showing them up. And so like it's kind of weird because that's not an environment for business. Business is to produce, and people feel good that they want to keep producing, and they don't have personal issues that are taken away from their productivity or effectiveness. But what happens when someone takes it really personal, their craft, and they don't want to dumb down their skills because the culture is dumbed down or the culture is lazy? They want to do their absolute best work, and they want to chase their potential. And that's the part where I've always run into is like, I don't think I'm meant to be a team player. I think I'm meant to be just either build a product or somehow convince Microsoft, Google, or some other well-known software shop like ThoughtWorks that maybe I'm barely intelligent enough to be able to work in their shop.
So perhaps you're slated to eventually be like some sort of disruptor. There's like,
I don't work well with teams, man.
well, yeah,
Unless it's a high performing team that I know they could teach me some stuff, I will keep my mouth shut and I will soak in game and I will do my best, even if my best isn't good enough based on their standards. And I will just keep going and going and going until I finally get accepted, you know?
But like there could be value in that though, right? As far as so if so you talked about like a group of lifers, right? There's a certain flow that you get into where if there's nothing disruptive to that, like you'll just keep going and there's it's a fragile system, right? As soon as something really goes wrong, like that whole system's going to fall apart. This is like the whole anti-fragile. Have you ever heard of anti-fragile at all?
That's a book, right?
Yeah, it's a book. Like
I heard it's recommended, but I never listened to it.
So basically it's talking about like what is the opposite of something that's fragile, you know, and people will say part of it like is like people will say, well, it's, you know, robust or like, you know, resilient. But really that's not the opposite of anti-fragile. That's, you know, resistant fragility. But something that's fragile is when you like anti-fragile is when you just mess it up, it gets better. And a team is something that might be something that is actually could be anti-fragile to a certain extent. Like if you just apply stresses to it, it'll actually get stronger. And perhaps a disruption could be something that actually helps teams get stronger. Like you go in there and just rattle cages so that on the other side.
That doesn't work, especially if you don't have the authority to.
Well, yeah, so, but I mean that could just be a missed opportunity. Something because I don't know. My biggest struggle is actually with has always been with processes. I just hate them.
Well, processes aren't meant for good people. They're meant for mediocre people.
Yeah, I hate it. I hate process. Like I hate like people that are like, oh, we need to limit the sprint to this many items because that's what we've traditionally done. Like why? What problem are we trying to solve with that? Because our sprint is we're over allocating, but why is that a problem? But if we, and then it's like, so we should allocate to this. And it's like, but it could be like, we're under allocating and then we feel constrained and we're not getting as much work done as we actually could if we just unleashed ourselves.
Yeah. So I'm a big believer in general, not for aviation. Like I think processes are important for mission critical. It's even better when you can automate that process. Which developers are supposed to be automators, but they're not automating. Anyway, so yeah, like I hate standards. Hate is a strong word. I hate when people. This is the reason why I do hate architects, and we had the conversation already. But like, they're so quick to create a standard. And when you create a standard, I feel like that's locked in stone. It's a goddamn standard. Like there's no budging, right? There's no learning from a retrospective and saying like, yeah, let me tweak this. No, it's a standard. And so like, even with the Lambda cartel, they established these standards of thou shall use giraffe for the server side, and thou shall use some unit testing framework that I never heard of. And I'm like, well, why are we having these standards? Why can't we just pick something that we're already familiar with? Like, why do we have to standardize? If someone is really strong in an area, well, give them their own domain context and let them rock it out. You know, why do we have to enforce a standard for everybody? Like, bounded context, knock it out, and that's it. But I mean, I don't know. I think this world is designed for monkeys that don't that are not willing to take things personal and do their best to be effective. So hence, I think we learned from McDonald's, and basically we have these manuals that anybody can read, any monkey can read, and it's just a process. And as long as you follow this manual, as long as you follow this process, it's all good. And we don't have to have people that think for themselves. You just read what's on here and you just do it. Don't think. That's my job. And that's unfortunately what software developers have been. They went from, I wasn't around obviously in the 50s or 60s or 70s, but I'm willing to bet that they were probably a lot more respected than they are now. Now the term code monkey, like you have to tell them what to do. You have to tell them something that you shouldn't have to tell them. Like, make sure that you have some automated tests so that you can stay focused on producing new functionality instead of backtracking and fixing old functionality. Like, you shouldn't have to tell them that, right? But I don't know. Software development has now become blue collar work, and it's unfortunate.
Yeah,
I was supposed to be the first person in my family to be white collar. Yeah, now I'm not so sure about it.
You're on your way. Watch this when Nakiza picks up and family.
Now people keep complaining about my UI.
He's got to pay for that one UX designer, and you know what? You're gonna blow this out of the way, man. It's gonna happen. You're gonna sell out to LinkedIn for about 2.7 million, and you're gonna be living on a beach just while you're out near a beach. You can come and live in Minnesota and appreciate the summer when it actually happens. Like, that's just the way it is. No, I've had some experience with architect. Like, there's one architect of the client that I work at now where I'm just really respectful, because I get that notion every once in a while, like he's telling you like, here's how it is, but it's never that case actually. Like, he's telling you some new thing that you can use should you choose to use it.
And that's what I like.
And it's like, oh, like, that's just so weird for me, like, to not have like these are the standards more or less, like, here's the things and here's all the alternatives and here's the ways that you can use them. And I'm telling you this because I trust you to kind of make that decision. And it's like, wow, that's refreshing and cool. And I
providing guidance, and he's not telling you to do something that he can't do himself.
Yeah. So, like, and you can challenge it.
The architect I had last time, like thou shall use reactive UI. I'm like, why? What? Why are we using reactive UI? Have you used reactive UI? Oh, you haven't used reactive UI, but you're telling us to use it. Why? I have to write so much more boilerplate, however you say that word, code because of your premature decision. Why are we doing this? What quantifies this? What context of the problem that we're solving needs this reactive UI? Why did you make this decision? And he can't say anything, right? All he knows how to do is make premature decisions so he can try to look good.
Yeah. So, yeah, you love when you ask a question and someone can actually tell you the reason. And it's like, oh, okay.
Thanks.
That makes sense. Yeah. Like, thank you for explaining it to me. Like, now I feel stupid that I even asked for it, you know, because I didn't think of that. But yeah, it's nice. I don't know. I get the thing I struggle with a lot is people who like who I feel, because they're the loudest voices in the room, get the most attention. And I could be that way. Like, I'm not saying that I'm not that way. I have no idea, because I just like, I have no idea. Like, I learned. Hope I'm not. I've asked.
I'm that way now. Like, you're going to hear me because my time is invested on this project, and I don't want to do something that I already done and it failed. So, with emphasis on I already did it and it failed. Not to say that maybe my technique was wrong, but like, you're going to hear me. I'm tired of being ignored.
Yeah.
So
And for me, it's, I don't like it when people act like, well, and again, maybe I do this too, but I don't know. I'm not, whatever. It's when they act like they know what the answer is, when really they're just really, really swift at learning the answer if they're wrong about it, or like they speak with confidence about every single thing that they think they know. They don't question it enough. And
and
that
those
really bothers me. Like, and not so much that is there, but they excel like extremely, because they're literally always giving answers to everything without putting a lot of thought into it. And what I really like, who I really, really like, are the people that are take a lot of time and sit back and like think, and then give, like, they talk when there's meaning. Like, there's someone at work that, like, I barely talk to him at all, but just like, I feel like every time he talks, like, and he's not like, he's well respected, but he's not like leading the projects or anything like that. But it's like, I don't know, just whenever he talks, like, I just like, that is
the heavens open up.
very intelligent and very like well thought thing that that person just said. So I don't know, but I don't know. There's a certain breed of, I don't know if it's just authority that I don't like. Like, if I feel like it's not earned, I don't know.
Yeah.
Authority that's not earned, it just pisses me off. I hate it. But
Oh, the people. I mean, it's weird. Like we're animals, but I don't know. We're very political, and so like what's strange is it's not the brightest person or the most experienced person that that will lead a business. It's the person that has the ability to influence, whether it's the way that they groom themselves and the perception that they give off, or they just have this ability to talk over people, so they're enforcing themselves being heard. It's it's a very dynamic like game that I suck at. Like I this whole when friends influence people. Maybe I should read that book because I suck at it. You know what I mean? Like
it's not
it's always
helpful.
it's always the people that kind of like what you described, where they just talk over people, and they give off so much confidence, which could be BS. Not all the time. It depends on the person. Some people speak with authority because they've been there, they've done that. Other people, they're really good at acting. You know, they're really good at acting like they're the authority figure. But when you really dig into what they've really been doing, they don't have a resume. You know, they don't. Their resume is nothing but putting out fires, and this is why this person has leadership, because he's creating fires that he also has to put out for you. Like that doesn't make sense to me.
Oh
So
yeah, yeah. That's a big one. Is like, this this broke, and I'm the hero because I fixed it, but I also broke it in the first place. But I fixed it, and extremely fast, because I knew what the problem was, because I was the one who broke it.
yeah, and mid-level managers, they don't even consider that at
Yeah.
all. They say hero. Like, well, did you do root cause analysis? Like, I don't know. Hence, I think I'm too much of an engineer than I am a developer.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if I could ever. I've thought, like, you talked about developing your own product and stuff, and one of the ideation thing has always been like a problem for me. Like, I don't know what I would ever, like, I'm not passionate about any one thing to sit long enough to build it. It's like, I just don't, like, I don't have
Have
a
you
passion for building actually like a full video game, for instance.
it's watch did you watch I forgot the name of the show or the name of the documentary. I watched it like
Mhm.
4 days ago. They have a second one out.
Yeah, I watched both of them.
I watched it like 4 days ago.
It's amazing. Yeah.
We're not alone. Those people are way more dedicated than we are.
Yeah, yeah. The thing is, I want to be those, like, I want to be dedicated. I don't understand how someone, if they're not already that way, like, how do you actually identify what you're good at and use that to get to the same point?
Well,
Or do you have to be like,
who
I
says
don't
you have
know.
to be good? Who says you have to be good? Have you? I'm willing to bet. I could be wrong, but I'm willing to bet you never ran a marathon before.
No, no, the most I've run is a 5K.
Why do you think I guessed that?
Well, because I'm pasty and white and fat. I don't
No,
know.
I
I've
made
thought
that
about it. Yeah.
I made that assumption because you pretty much alluded to, oh, I don't know how. I'm not confident that I could stick with something for a long period of
No,
time.
I actually I've I was I so honestly I wanted to. I want to. The thing that freaks me out is the shoulder issue. Like I wanted to say, so there's a Grandma's Marathon in Duluth, Minnesota, which is this big 26 marathon thing along the north shore of the Superior. And like I saw those people and I'm like, this is awesome. I want to do that. And like, so I started running a bit and then I got to like to a 5K and then the shoulder stuff, like, how do you deal with that? I don't want to go to the doctor and be like,
Yeah.
fix
So
it
this
and go through months and years of like rehab just so I can run a damn marathon.
so
Like,
I moved to Miami like 5 years ago, I think, or six, whatever, or seven, I don't know. And so this was like a major turning stone in my life. And so there's certain things that I declared were going to be symbolic for this new baptism. And I'm going to run a half marathon in Mexico City. Now, so I started training for it. I was in Tampa, and like when I say training for it, like every day I'm doing something that contributes towards me running in Mexico City, doing that marathon. And I ran into something very similar to what you ran into. It was a Sunday where I was doing my long run, and I was approaching like my 6 mile, because to me 6 miles is long. And I started having like pain in my knee, but I identified like I identified a facility as my next milestone that I'd never ever reached before. And I'm like, I'm gonna get to that milestone. Forget my knee. I'm a G. So I kept running. And the sharpest pain ripped through my knee. Because I was trained as a little boy to just shake things off, man up. When you feel pain, if you get hit, you don't show it. You don't let someone know you're hurt. You just try to grin and you shake it off and you keep going. And that's what I tried to do. And I destroyed my knee, destroyed it, but I still ran to that marathon. Now, what I did was, because my mind was already made up, because the order had already went out, because I had already declared that I was going to run that half marathon, there's nothing that was going to stop me. Like, I would be in a wheelchair willing through that marathon. There was nothing. It was already made up. So even though I didn't have a knee, I was like, well, I can't run anymore. At least probably not for the next couple of months. But I'm going to run in this marathon, and I'm still going to train for it. And so I enrolled at a fitness gym, and I just rode on a bicycle every day because it was easy on my knee. And I just bicycle on the little sit down bicycle inside the little facility. And finally, when Judgment Day came, and I flew down there, I bought a Ziploc bag of aspirins or ibuprofens, and I just OD'd on it through my run. Destroyed my knee even more, but I didn't care. I wanted my medallion. And so, to make a long story short, or I already gave the long story, is like an obsession where things are personal. And that what the marathon taught me, it was symbolic. It conditioned my mind to do things or to perform something that I wasn't designed to perform. I'm 6'7", I'm 250 pounds. I don't have a knee. But if I can knock off 13.1 miles and get my medallion, then there's surely other things that maybe belong to the same metaphor that I could also accomplish as long as I continue putting one step in front of the other and keep doing it until I hit that finish line. And so that's my mentality, is running that half marathon, condition my mind to keep putting one foot in front of another, regardless of how painful it is, until I reach the finish line. And that's it. I would like to say that there's a discussion to be had over it, but usually, no, there's no discussion. I made my declaration. It has to get done. And I'll just keep doing it and doing it and doing it. And after a while, sooner or later, if I keep doing it based on the law of consistency and a compound effect, momentum should take place. And it should carry me the rest of the distance. So,
yeah,
that's the long answer.
It's that whole thing, like, you decided to do it and you just did it. So maybe I just have to make actually decide to do something and actually do it. How do you understand, like, how do you get to the point where you actually decide something, though? Like, really decide something, and not just like,
it's when you had enough.
Like,
when you don't want to live any more days with what you've been struggling with.
Well, you didn't want to live with any more days without, like, running a marathon, like.
In Cleveland, I got so sick and tired of the mentality of my family. I got so sick and tired of the mentality of my friends. I got so sick and tired of the paycheck that I was pulling in. I don't want to spend my life being mediocre. For what? My time on this earth is limited. You know what I mean? Like, yo, I got to get out of this Cleveland, man. This is a depressed city. We're going to be like Detroit sooner or later. I can't be around these people. I need to be around abundance, or at least something that looks like it.
Cleveland's hopping now, though.
No. It's doing better.
Sandusky to give a talk. No,
that's 90 minutes away from Cleveland.
Oh, okay, it's close enough to Cleveland. I don't know.
You'll know when you're in Cleveland. Believe that.
Don't they have the rock museum there? Like,
yeah, they got the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. They have the
Drew Carey show. It's the Cleveland rocks, man.
The Science Museum is live. If you get into that, I get into that stuff. I'll take all my dates to the Science Museum, and I geek out.
Okay. So I got to wrap it up here, but so
you make a decision.
I'm looking for what I actually thrive on is someone telling me that I can't do something, or someone telling me that, like, challenging me. I think so. What are you going to challenge me? Like, next time we talk, what should I have done?
Well, I don't know. Tell me what you want to aspire to.
I don't know, dude.
Are you complacent with life? Is now the time where you've gone full throttle in programming, and now you want to be the rock star dad or rock star husband? Because if it is, then I would challenge you to be full throttle and be that rock star dad or be that rock star husband.
I don't know, man. The only things I have ahead of me right now are that trying to do this one game jam now. I'll have another one in December, and then I've got this talk in January. Beyond that, I got a podcast to do at the end of January too. Apparently,
right.
Someone. But other than that, I've got nothing. I have no ambition, actually, which is probably the worst thing in the world. But, like, total contentness. But I don't want to be content. I want.
Here's my challenge to you: find something that maybe frustrates you, maybe technically, and. I don't know what a monad is, but find something that you say there has to be a better way, and commit to demonstrating a prototype of doing it better, and not only that's the beginning. The challenge is to stand up in front of investors and present your idea. It doesn't matter if they buy into it. The challenge is take something that you're really annoyed with, build a prototype, Who knows how long that takes? That may take a month. That may take 6 months. It may take a year. And get so good at it and have so much domain knowledge over it that recording this day of November 9th, 2017, in the future, you're actually presenting on this challenge in front of some investors, and you basically decide if, well, you got to the point where people are interested in throwing money at the problem that you solved.
All right. So after this, I'm going to fork Nikiza. You're going to watch me take this to the next level, right?
It's still open source, so whatever.
I'm just going to make it UX, like get a bit of pay some UX, like $10 an hour to do this. And then you're just going to see how it blows up. Then I'm going to sit down with Michael Feathers in a year and be like, hey, look at this. And he'll be like, oh, you hired a UX person, right? That's what's going to happen. No. All right.
Yeah.
All right. So we're going to take that. And then this is the video that I'm going to use and be like, okay, he challenged me right here. And so now I've got to live up to this. Otherwise, when we're going to talk after like 4 months or 6 months, whatever it is the next time, you're going to be like, have you done any of that shit? And I'll be like, yeah, I have. In fact, here's my investor list. No, I don't know. We'll see.
Well, I would say that if you do take on the challenge, I know different people work different ways, but I'll give big props to John Samez. Maintaining a daily quota or a daily system of no matter what, I'm going to do at least 1 hour, period. I don't care if my girl gets upset. I don't care if my dog gets upset. Like 1 hour every single day, unless there's a Hurricane Irma, then like that really boosted my abilities. It gave me confidence about what I'm able to accomplish. And it also, like, I know a lot more about programming and software development. I thought I knew it all, but I still know a lot more. I still make a lot more mistakes that I can write tons of blog posts on that I've corrected. Yeah. So
you could probably write a ton of blog posts about Idris and get us all interested in that. Be like, you guys got to realize that functional dependencies are not functional. Type dependencies are the way of the future. Functional is last year. Dependent types is this year, everyone.
I'm going to be the Jim Rome, or hold on, who's the San Francisco Kool-Aid?
Wasn't that like a cult? Okay, I was going to say actually a cult leader.
Yeah, cult leader. Jim. Anyway, I'm going to be him a functional programming. I'm going to get everybody to drink the Kool-Aid.
I think it would be good. Like I'm seeing it. Like I just just the whole, like, you're just declaring all of the code and it's not actually like I don't know. It's like I'm right there. I'm like, I feel like I'm this close. I just need one more major epiphany and it'll just be like, maybe it's, I don't know.
We're talking about functional programming?
Yeah, functional.
Well, no, whenever you want to knock off a session and dig into examples, yeah, it'll reinforce my understanding.
I want you to teach me how to make a guess a number game, because that was literally what I was trying to do last night. Also trying to make up a language at the same time, but that's what I was trying to do.
I guess a number game?
Literally, that's it. Guess a number. So I have a feeling that input, like if you're requesting input from a display, it returns a monad. And then you have to like shove the input into like another thing that then like takes your guess, and then like random number is also like returns a monad.
No, function is deterministic always.
Yeah, so but a random function returns a monad is deterministic because it always returns a monad, like a monadic, another function, right? It's just a special function that can be shoved, the result can be shoved into another thing that returns that same exact monadic function, right?
That's so you keep saying monad. I don't know what a monad is. I avoid that word. But when I say deterministic, random is a function that's, well, random. I don't want to say random is a function. I mean, it probably at a high level is a function. A function is a pure. Random is not a pure function. Okay,
it's a function. If all it does is always return a function that returns a random number. Right?
Then it's a function that returns a number.
Yes.
You can't say random.
Yeah, but that is a pure function if it returns a function that returns a random number.
No, it's a pure function that returns a function or returns a number. But
Yeah,
it
but
can't
no,
be
no,
random.
no.
As soon as you say
No, no,
random,
no.
it's no longer a pure function.
But if the function returns a function that returns a random number, or then random itself is a pure function.
You can't put in the type signature of a function that its return type is a random number.
No,
It's
that
just
it's a
a number.
function that returns a random number.
No, but
It's an IO
can't
function.
represent that in the function signature. Is what I'm
Yes, you
saying.
can. It's
You
a
can't
delegate type.
you
It
can't
returns a
say
delegate.
you can't say this function returns a random number. No, you can only say this function returns a number.
This
Whether
function
it's
returns a function that returns a number.
yeah, you
That's
can't
what a
say
monad is, isn't
random.
it? Though?
I don't know what a monad is because I avoid it because it sounds
Yes,
complicated.
because what they're doing is that I think this is what a monad is. Like this is the deal.
My,
So
under, my understanding of a monad is it's a technique within functional programming to deal with the outside world.
yeah, because the outside world is so like busted up, like it has side effects. And so what you do is you wrap those side effects within a function, and that like returns a function. Then you evaluate the function within another function and pass that into another delegate that returns some sort of value like a map. But that whole function gets returned so that you actually haven't like imperatively executed those. All you're doing is just creating new functions that
You're
then at some point in time when you actually finally complete the whole specification, like you actually execute the whole thing in a holistic manner. That's when those like
But you don't have to. You would probably have
right?
to do that in Haskell or maybe Idris, but you don't have to do that in Fsharp.
Yeah, you have
And
to
you
do it
probably don't have
in a
to.
pure functional language though, right?
Yeah, but I'm not a pure functional. With the exception of Elm, that's the only pure functional language I know.
Because
And
I looked at Haskell and I was looking at like print line, like how does print line work? Like if you're going to print something, that's an impure function, right? Or it's an impure thing. And I
yeah,
found out that when you call print whatever some string, that you're actually returning from that an IO monad, not an actual like you're not actually just printing it. You're returning a function that does that thing or something like that, a monad, which then
Elm.
has like no actual output. But then you can just kind of like bind that into the next thing or change it to the next thing. And then like you're telling you what you do after that. And then finally, when you get all done with this chain, like you can pass it into the main function of Haskell. And that's when the monad or the whole chain will get actually executed.
Yeah, that's the way my understanding of Elm is. I have all these callbacks, and so I'll do a HTTP request, and I'll basically provide it the a message to trigger when a response is returned, and it'll pretty much attach that payload to that response message. And so when that response is returned, that message is triggered with the expected payload. And basically, I'm not sure if you're familiar with Microsoft Foundation classes, but it's a message pump. And Elm is pretty much the same way. And I guess this is like video game programming, where you just keep having messages get pumped in, and you have all these different cases to handle the different types of messages. And it's just an engine. And so in Elm, I think I can relate to what you're saying. Don't know Haskell. Don't care about Haskell. I may do something in Idris, but that's probably not for another 24 months. But Elm, yeah, except it's web development.
Elm's cool though. I watched a Pluralsight on it. It was just like, whoa, that the thing I actually really liked was the automatic currying. Like that was cool. Like that was I don't know, other languages probably have it, but that's the first time I actually saw it happen. And I was super excited that I could explain to my coworker like how that it was doing currying and what currying was and how it actually like like, oh, you're providing only the first parameter of 3, and it returns a function that is fixed that first parameter, but then you can pass the other 2 parameters in and get the rest of the function to execute. Like, brilliant. It's like you're computing code.
Well,
That's what you're doing.
This is a technical interview. Is that currying?
Currying? Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah, it's currying is when you when you basically take a function that has, like, say 3 inputs, and then you return a new function that has one or more of those inputs defined, but then takes the next input, or the third parameter, let's say, and then that is your only input to this new function that then is paired up with those other ones to actually complete. So what you're doing is, like, you're computing a function. It's just so cool. Like, you're computing a function that has those 2 parameters already fixed.
I think you're missing. I think, and maybe you're right, but I think you're missing another term that complements currying. And my laptop's about to die, so we have 30 more seconds.
That's all right. Go.
You know what that term is?
No.
You described it, but I don't think it's part of currying. You touched on currying. It's called partial application, where my understanding is you're postponing the additional arguments until you absolutely need it, and then the function executes.
Yeah, it's kind of like a higher order function, right? It's like a.
So I use it for basically for the FP way of implementing an interface. I did it in my FN trade demo, where I did the trading application in Fsharp. But yeah, so it's currying. My understanding is all functions take 1 argument, period. So you could take a function that has 3 arguments, and you could rewrite it such that it only takes 1 argument, in which that argument is a function that happens to take another argument. That's a function that happens to take another argument.
That's cool. Yeah.
Partial application is when you basically supply some arguments, but not all of them, until you reach the point in your program where you now are ready to provide the next argument for it to execute. So you're deferring. That's my understanding of it. So
yeah, no, that makes sense, because that's I think that's what we saw in Elm. Was that I forgot about that note that you said, where every function is just a function, like 1 parameter, and that's it. But the idea that you could pass in, let's say 2, and it will evaluate the first 2 functions in that. Every function is only a single argument function, and then, like, return the third one that it takes to complete the entire thing. It's like if you have a function that says add this number to this number, and then you pass in the first one, then you get a function that always returns, the second number plus that fixed first number, and that second number is variable depending on what you're passing to the function. It's like,
as long as you understand what you're saying. I struggle for like a year trying to understand currying. That stuff I'm not a math person. I'm not. So, like, it took a while for me to finally start understanding it, and I think I only half understand it now. So.
Yeah, there was I don't think I get, like, even with monads, I feel like I know kind of what they do and how to arrange them, but I don't know how to describe them in a categorical theory. Like, okay, here's the monoid, and this is what it is. And then if you make a monad, it's a monoid, but it's got a bind function. Like,
I've watched so many videos on category theory, and I still don't know what it is. Yeah. I swear to God, I have consumed 20 videos on category theory. I don't know what category theory is.
Yes.
Like, I get a glazed look every video I watch. I'm like, I still don't know what to say. I don't know what it is.
I know. I keep watching the same thing over until it eventually click. Nope. No.
Yeah. So, we gotta hang it up because my
I gotta go.
Thanks, Shawn. This was a really good session, man. I'm about to listen to this like a couple times.
Yeah, it was fun. So, I like these. So by the time you talk to me next, I'll be selling my application.
You'll be selling the Keza
to LinkedIn for like $2.7 billion. I'm gonna move to Miami and sit on the beach with you and do this next time. So that's just the way that's obviously what's gonna happen after I just buy that UX developer. So
yeah, I actually talked to one on the phone earlier today. Cool. All right, we'll catch up.
Spend money to make money. So
all Well, not if you don't have it. But all right.
Got to spend other people's money to make money then.
Yeah, yeah. Well, spoken like a true politician. So
All
we'll
right.
catch up. Thanks.
Yep.
I'm
Have
out.
a good night.
Bye.